Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal Public Affairs program. I'm Jerry Williams. Well, there was a Stop the Gun Violence gathering that took place at the First Cathedral. I was out and about and on the scene, and today and tomorrow you'll hear sound clips from that gathering. On this segment, you'll hear from moderator Paul Pendergast, Senator Chris Murphy, Senator Richard Blumenthal, Andrew Woods, and Archbishop Leroy Bailey Jr., senior pastor of the First Cathedral. That's happening now on the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs.
Well, we have to first of all thank Curtis and Sheila Robinson for the food, because it was their donation today that made this happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Paul Pendergast, I'll be moderating today. One of my stops along the way was the athletic director at the University of Connecticut. So we all know the purpose of today is about inner city violence and what we can do to quell what's happening there and heal and work towards a better day ahead. Frankly, the two U.S. senators that are here today have worked tirelessly at their outpost in Washington, D.C. as U.S. senators, not only representing the state of Connecticut, but the 50 states of the United States. Because wherever you go, gun violence seems to follow, especially in the cities. So both Senator Murphy and Senator Blumenthal, I'm going to impose on them to come up here together to talk, because they've done that once or twice in their lifetime. And like a lot of things that are happening this week, they've got another event to go to right after this one. So please, Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy.
He said, my schedule is a little tighter, he said, which that's never the case. I'm never going to more things than Dick Blumenthal is going to. Thank you, first and foremost, to this church community for being such a leader, not just when it comes to giving people a connection to faith, but making sure that you're making a difference in the community. Faith with works, faith with action, right, is what this community, this church believes in. And to the Archbishop and your team, thanks for reminding us of your commitment to be involved in the community. Obviously, this issue is what motivates Dick and I when we get up every morning. I now live not far from here, just south of downtown, in the south end of Hartford. I get now a firsthand view of what life is like if you are growing up in a neighborhood where you have to fear for your life at a rate that no child should have to fear. I was at a K-8 school just down the street from my house meeting with a group of student leaders, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And, I just went there to talk to them about what they wanted from government. It took them a little while to kind of warm up and get comfortable talking to a U.S. senator, but once they got going, they wanted to talk to me about one thing, and one thing only. They wanted to talk to me about their walk to and from school. Right? They wanted to talk to me about the fact that school for them was the safe place.
I will just say we are so fortunate in Connecticut to have all of you as advocates and friends, to have local officials the way we do, to have strong community leaders, and that is what gives us the voice that we have in Washington. That really empowers us. It enables us to be advocates in the way that we are. We just came from a press conference where we were touting some of the results of the Safer Communities Act, and they are tangible, they are real, it's a success story. What it shows is these laws work. Actions, positive actions, will have positive consequences. You all know it from your daily lives, but I will just say one statistic that's so struck me is that in the first 5 months of 2022, the use of red flag laws occurred in 96 cases, 96. In the next 5 months, there were 415 because of increased awareness about how separating people from guns when they say they're going to kill someone or when they say they're going to kill themselves, separating a person from a gun, saves lives.
Brother Carl and I actually grew up with 20 years difference in age, but we both, believe it or not, we both grew up in Bellevue Square together. Same building, him on the first, me on the third. And he's been a mentor of mine ever since I was a child. But I didn't realize I would get into this business, if you will, of doing violence prevention work. My background is I'm a clinical social worker. And I started out doing drug counseling and therapy and just wanted to start reaching young people before they came before me as what I termed at the time practicing addicts and alcoholics with a lot of troubles and challenges, etc. I became quickly aware that to deal with some of the issues that our young people were faced with, that I would have to get down into the weeds with Brother Kyle and others, Chuck Cummins, who was also a member of First Cathedral as well, and really start seeing what we can do to address this issue. And so where are we at right now? One of the things that I was very pleased to meet with both Bishop Bailey LaRoyal as well as Paul Pendergrass the other day, myself and Brother Kyle, to hear about what their vision is. And it is an add to. They didn't come in saying, hey, listen, nothing's happening out there. No, they were very acknowledging of a lot of the efforts that people are putting in terms of trying to address this issue. But it was always about what can we add to this and how can we partner and how can we support some of the current initiatives that are going on. When I look out in the audience here, there's three people I do want to acknowledge. And one of them happens to be Sandy Cloud. Every single time in 25 years that I've been doing this work whole, if I pick up the phone and call him, I would get a response, a call, that phone would be answered. If I needed resources, he would provide. The same thing, I see Connor Quinn here with Congressman Larson's office. Let me tell you something, folks. When you look at Mothers United Against Violence and Hartford Communities That Care, if there's any lawmaker that wants to understand what the motto is or how do you support organizations, look to Congressman Larson's office. And let me tell you why. Across the nation, there is an emergence of violence prevention offices at the state level and local level, municipalities. Christina Baldwin actually is one of the leaders in one of those efforts. And by the way, the city of Hartford is leading one of the most robust, collaborative, comprehensive offices of violence prevention in the state of Connecticut.
And so I take this to heart when I think about children, because I know there are two spirits, and the book says, the holy book says, in 2 Corinthians 4:4, that Satan blinds the mind of the non-believer to the glorious light of the gospel. And so I felt it was an opportunity for me to step up. I know that these people are doing some wonderful things in here today, and I'm talking about our dear friend Carl Hodrick with his institute and how he has labored in the community for years, and then Brother Andrew and what he's doing. And I think that they are significant. And when we talked to them the other day, I want you to understand, nobody wants to replace anybody. It ain't about that. It's about not being in competition, but being complements. And we support what they do. Start a new movement? No. Not interested at all. But I thought that there were some things that could be done that would enhance what they are doing. They're on the front end, and Brother Brown is on the rear end with the Mothers Against Violence. But what came to my mind was, and my son Leroy III can tell you more of it, I said, I preached the gospel with some of these kids, and I didn't tell you about this. Last year in the summertime, I had to go to one of my members' homes, a couple years ago rather, for the graduation of their daughter who went to Memphis, Tennessee, and she finally received her PhD there at the University of Memphis. But in coming back at Main and Tower in that quad down there, I saw all of these young people on these three-wheelers. I mean, it looked like hundreds of them. And when I passed by, this is what came to my mind. I spoke about it that Sunday. Those young people who are doing those violent things, God wants them to turn from being warriors to becoming witnesses. What I'm talking about is, I believe that some of those young people, God wants them to become modern evangelists, modern preachers, and modern teachers and leaders in our community. But I also know you've got to garner their attention. Will they come in here? Maybe, maybe not. Some maybe have been here for funerals, etc. But the interesting thing is we want them to change because we want them to live.
And that was Archbishop Leroy Bailey Jr., Senior Pastor of the First Cathedral. Join me tomorrow on the Saturday format for Part 2. If you'd like more information about what you heard today, call WIHS 860-346-1049, 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily of those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Jerry Williams for the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs.